spending time with my family. I spent most of my childhood on a court, a field, a track, or a dojo. And for those who aren't familiar with martial arts, the dojo is just a karate school. But I vividly remember a conversation I had with my sensei one day. He essentially said to me that I have all the tools and resources that I need to reach my goals. His job was just to help me recognize those goals. When the Reju team got together 4 years ago, we wanted to be that pillar to help folks recognize the resources that were already aligned within themselves. And there were 3 things that we based our company on. The first being all-encompassing. The second being affordable. And the third being a one-stop shop. All while utilizing AI and machine learning to push our platform forward. If I wasn't in the classroom,
I don't think you want to see it again, but I'm so excited about my guest today. He's been on my podcast. We were talking before the show. You know, this is Leap to Full-Time Entrepreneurship. That's entrepreneurship's talked everywhere in the world. I think it's a great opportunity, but not for everybody. But these young people, males and females, like my guest coming today, what a great opportunity. The world is so open to be able to start a business and help people, support them, and serve them to solve a problem for somebody. Yes, and make some money. That's what entrepreneurship is. But it's a challenge as well. And you're going to learn a lot today. Together we serve how my guest learned to use, in this case, his friends, to build something, starting entrepreneurship, now becoming a business. They did it together. If we serve together, it's much more fun, much easier, and I believe much better to help you grow and scale your business. So let's bring on our guest. Dante, welcome to the show.
Absolutely, Steve. Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here.
First, I want to start with you're awesome. You're a young man taking the entrepreneurial spirit and road and journey, and your two friends that are doing it with you. I love it because, again, like I said, the world's open. But what did you do before you became an entrepreneur?
Yeah, so funny enough, I come from like a family of entrepreneurship. My parents had their own business growing up that's still running and operating in Newark, New Jersey. And I even heard rumors of like my grandfather saying before I was born that he wanted all his kids to work together and formulate Wade Enterprises. But funny enough, before I took the leap into doing entrepreneurship, I was actually working in the sports and fitness industry. So I was working with the New York Red Bull soccer team on their operations team. And funny enough, that is what I wanted to do for the longest. All through high school and college, I said I either want to work for an athletic department at a university or for a professional sports team. Now, in doing that, I realized that it wasn't necessarily everything that it was cracked up to be. And I really just started leaning into what is my passion? What is something that I want to do? And health and wellness emerged around that time of my life as something that I was super passionate about. And that's something that a message that I wanted to share with a larger audience. So from there, I got with the team and we started formulating what our business is and what Reju is today. And even then, I was still working. I was still in the professional setting. But when I first came up with the idea for Reju, I was in the sports and fitness industry.
And that's exciting because I always want to work in sports. So I'm envious of you at 63. We can be envious, and it's okay. What did you learn from that experience working for the New York Red Bulls that's helping you today?
Man, so I'm really glad you asked that question. So it's a couple of things. The first thing I would say is that sometimes, and this wasn't really from the experience, but the experience overall, sometimes things aren't always what you expect it to be. And that could be good or bad. When I say things aren't always what you expect it to be, looking from the outside in and just thinking from the young man I was at the time, I said, oh, working for a sports team is going to be great. I'm going to get to go to all the games and I'm going to, rub elbows with the players, X, Y, and Z. But it really didn't work out like that. Being as though I was in operations, I rarely seen games. I never seen a full game. Maybe like if we went to like triple overtime or something like that or extended time, I got to go see it. But there was that aspect of it. But what I would say I really, really learned from that position overall was just reinforcing what I believe in the power of teamwork. Um, on that operations team, there were about, I'd say 15 of us. We were part time, so it'll be a rotating staff. But I say teamwork because we were all part of the Red Bull brand. But on any given work day, I could be working with a totally different staff than I had to work with the day before. So that's different personalities, that's different backgrounds, that's different beliefs, and that's different approaches to how you do the work. So it's really being adaptable to whatever team you're on and still making sure you maintain your own standard of work and performance that you want to lead up to, but also leading the team too. And I say leading, I didn't have, I wasn't manager over anybody on my team, but you could be a leader without the title. And it's really ensuring that the job gets done and the job gets done effectively, no matter who the personnel is. So that's really something I took away from that and I still apply to this day.
It's a great tip because you work 8 to 5 at Google or Amazon, or you're a you're a UPS driver. Yes, you can be a leader. You may not have a title, but that's just a label. But I love what you said, that you became a leader because there are new personalities. Somebody has to take the lead, especially when it's volunteer. It's not as as glamorous as the guy making 80, 100,000, 150,000 with the Red Bulls, the top guys.
100%.
What would you say the definition of entrepreneurship is?
Wow. I look away because there's so many layers to that and so many thoughts pop in my head when you ask that question. But I think in its simplest form, the definition of entrepreneurship is being able to take a thought, an idea, and really materializing it into a business that's serving others. Now, what that service look like could be different towards the type of entrepreneur you are. I myself am a social entrepreneur. So when I look at the definition of what that is how do you take your idea? How do you take your thought? What are you angry about that you want to solve in the world? And how do you materialize that and turn it into a business? How could that business be duplicated, scaled, and monetized in order for the business to keep going? So when you think through entrepreneurship, it's really taking a project from the idea stage to its completion stage in its simplest form. You're taking a project from your head to paper to putting it to market and then generating a profit from it so the business could operate itself and you could be more hands off as time moves forward.
Great definition. Really.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's more to it. I didn't, we could spend 2 hours on a definition of entrepreneurship.
Oh, yeah.
But it was you're very good, short and succinct. We do only have 56 minutes. And I love that. Part of my mission for the show today is I'm 63. Not that I can't relate to you, because I do. We've worked with each other. I've brought you some introductions. But what would you tell somebody 40 or below that's like, I've got the entrepreneurial bug. What do I do? What are my first steps?
I'm really glad you asked that question because I'm going to give an answer and it's not everybody's favorite answer. It's not even my favorite answer, but it's the truth. Take it one step and one day at a time. I can assure you that whatever or however fast you want it to happen, it may not happen in that timeline. There are going to be unexpected hiccups, unexpected hurdles, obstacles that you really didn't plan for. And the reason I say take it one step and one day at a time is because every day won't be a day where you can move mountains. Someday you just got to pick up that stone and place that stone in a different place. But you have to keep doing it day by day. And patience is the name of the game. Patience, patience, patience. One of my favorite quotes is, stick to the fight when your heart is hit. It's when things seem worse that you must not quit. When you think through anybody who's 40 and under that has that entrepreneurial bug, when you're excited, when you're thinking about it, when it first hits you that, hey, I want to start a business, write it all down, put it all in documentation so you actually have it and you can read it. Then when you start implementing, revisit that and think about that excitement sometimes, because the excitement is going to wear off. I hate to break it to you. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but at some point the excitement does wear off.
Yes.
So remember why you started and be patient is the best, most simple and concise advice I could give.
And you said that on the podcast, and I laughed too, and in a good way. It's up and down. It's going to be a rocky road. That's why your purpose, your mission that you mentioned, I put up, what's your mission, is so important. Not everybody should be an entrepreneur. Not everybody should be a business owner. That's across the board. I know people, like you said, have different definitions of entrepreneurship. How would you approach somebody when you meet somebody 40 or under and says, man, I love what you're doing, Reju. You and your two partners, man, I want to do what you're doing. And you know in your heart, in your servant's heart, that they're just not either not ready, which is probably a lot of the time, or not a person that should be doing it. How would you handle that?
So, one, I would really want to have a conversation on what type of business they're interested in starting and understanding their why. The reason I would want to start off there is because I believe everybody's capable of being an entrepreneur, but the reason that a lot of people may not succeed or may fail in entrepreneurship is because that why that they have may not be strong enough to continue doing something years and years down the line, even if you haven't made a profit yet. So I need to understand the why. Now, in regards to, if they're saying, I got the bug, I want to do exactly what you're doing, I say, all right, start today. Don't delay, don't wait, don't think you need any approval. Start today. Let's check in 6 months from now. Let's talk a year from now, 2 years, 3 years from now. Because quite frankly, businesses, statistically speaking, oftentimes don't become profitable until that 5 year mark. If you can't stick it out for that first year, that first 2, that first 3 years, this may not be for you. So that's really how I would handle that situation. I wouldn't tell them, don't go start your business, but I'd say start today and let's talk 6 months from now. And I'd want to be that accountability partner because I do think people are capable, but it takes a lot of fortitude. And I really think people who are entrepreneurs may be a little bit crazy. I know I could speak for myself. I think I'm a little bit off sometimes. I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
dang, you still sticking with it? But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and I'm with you. And being African American, not to make this racial, and it's not. It's not as easy. I know I'm a white guy. It was probably a little bit easier for me. For those minorities out there thinking of starting a business, what's your suggestion to them if there's anything that I'm sure is a little bit difference compared to me if you were talking to a white person or a person with money? What would you say to them how to handle this journey?
Do your research. Know as
Mm,
much as you can about your industry. Know as much as you can about your competition. Know as much as you can about yourself as you embark upon this journey. And the reason I say that is because, oftentimes you may, because you're young, because you may not have that doctor in front of your name, and you may not have gone to the most prestigious school on top of being a minority, people may doubt what you're doing off the beginning. So you have to have facts based on what you're saying. If you have a hypothesis, you need to have statistics that back that hypothesis up. And you also need to be prepared to hear the no's. You have to fortify your the words escaping me right now, but you have to grow thick skin. I'm gonna just say it in layman's
yeah.
terms. You got to grow
Yeah.
thick skin, and that's whether you're a minority or not, because you're gonna hear no's and you're gonna hear no's often. Now, the type of no's you get is gonna vary. You may get some no's where people say, "Hey, not today, but I want to offer you some advice." You may get some no's where you're 5 minutes into a conversation and they say, I'm good to go." Or you may not hear a response at all, which is another form of a no. So you've got to grow thick skin. You have to be very well informed of what you're doing. And, it kind of ties back to what I said before. Always keep your why in mind. Keep the why in mind because that's what's going to get you to keep going. That's what's going to get you not to quit when you're hearing those no's, when you're facing that adversity, when you're not getting that funding of those startup dollars. And
Mm.
not to belabor this point, but we didn't really get any investing or any outside investor. We got one investment from an accelerator program we were part of, and those are great guys, people that we're still, connected with. But the amount of times we've pitched over 500 times, and we've been told no probably 500 plus times as well. But I also bring that up to say this. Just because you don't get the outside investing doesn't mean that you don't have a viable product. Let your sales speak. Grow your business organically. Get clients, get those clients to give you good reviews and keep growing. Because the investors are going to come back. But when they come back, make sure that the price is higher than when you originally talked to them.
Great tip. And audience, I gotta point something out. What he's done in the last 5 or 10 minutes, he's mentoring. We talked about leadership in the beginning. Every leader is always mentoring. And and I love mentoring. I do a free podcast workshop and free business mentoring. I do that because I want to be a leader. I want to support and have that servant's heart, and it's powerful. I'm getting a little controversial, even though the racist, African American business owners could be a little bit, but it is what it is. I'm white, you're black. It's simple, but education. It's getting a huge bad rap for some legitimate reasons, but I do believe, and I think it's my faith, is that education does teach you something. What did you learn at Lincoln University in Pennsylvania that's helped you get through this journey from work in New York, start an entrepreneur, now you're a COO, and we'll get into that in a minute.
Yeah.
Did you learn anything that's helped you today?
Yeah. I could think back specifically to one moment at Lincoln that truly changed my life. When I believe I was a junior, we had the entrepreneurship or the business department through an entrepreneurship contest. And essentially, they gave individuals the opportunity to create a business plan, draft that business plan out, and pitch to the entire business department and anybody else in the school that wanted to attend. And I vividly remember because they taught us how to build a business plan even before the competition. But I vividly remember going to the library or staying up at night, doing my cost analysis, my price breakdown. Where do I want to put my business? The location. I never forget, it was a sports bar that I wanted to have. A sports bar on the first floor and a gym on the second floor. And I didn't win the competition. I came in third place. However, I had so much fun. I had so much fun just learning about the process, building my business plan, pitching it to individuals, really imagining what it would look like. And from there, and in that moment, I said, I gotta start a business one day. I don't know what it's gonna be. I don't know if it's gonna be this sports bar / gym that I had this crazy idea about, but that specific moment at Lincoln University, that I would say really shifted the trajectory of what I wanted to do professionally. And funny enough, I just reached out to that professor that through the entrepreneurship contest. I reached out to her this year. I told her about Reju, where I'm at, my position in the company, how I co-founded it. And I thanked her for hosting and having that competition because it truly changed my life. And if I don't remember anything else about Lincoln that I learned, I know I learned how to create a business plan and pitch that business plan. And that directly correlates to where I am now.
And if I remember right, one of your two partners, did they go to school with you, or were they did go to Lincoln with you?
They both went to Lincoln with me. So one of them, I was class of 2017. One of them was class of 2015, and the other one class of 2014. Now, not necessarily a learning experience, but the network that I gained in college, that was priceless. That was quite priceless. And that's just, talking about Reju, my best friend, the best man in my wedding was my roommate. He's the godfather to my daughter. I had my business partners that were there. I started another venture when I first got out of college. It's not currently active, but one of my business partners for that venture also went to Lincoln as well. So it was really, we didn't know it, but in a way it was like an incubator for young entrepreneurs to get to know each other, network, and really build. Because even upon graduation, we had our first conversation for Reju in December 2018. I graduated in May 2017. So we're talking about a year and a half goes by where we're not thinking about building a business together, but that connection from Lincoln still rang strong. So when we thought about it, it was easy for us to call one another and say, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. Are you down? Of course, bro. I got you.
Yeah, I love it. The people. I mean, we're in a people business, and you just taught me something, because I just realized when I said that to you, what a powerful way to start a business, going to college and building a network. I'm sure there's many more people that maybe you reached out to or reached out to their network to help Reju and grow. And maybe the New York Bulls, when you were with them, with that network, right? And your fraternity. I want to mention behind you is your fraternity, I believe.
Yeah.
Kappa. Will you say what's the fraternity?
Kappa Alpha Psi. So founded in 1911, Indiana University. And funny enough, that's how I got to meet my first teammate on Reju.
Wow. Look at that.
Yes, that's how I met so I'm COO. He called me because, and not to get off on a tangent, but long story short, I started posting motivational and inspirational content online. after going through my own like mental health, I'd say journey. And the CEO of Reju gave me a call and he said, "Hey, I see what you're posting online. I see what the advice that you give in the group chats that we're in X, Y, and Z. Let's start this business together." I met him through Kappa. He crossed 2 years before I did. And what we really didn't know at the time, a month after I joined, he pulled me to the side in a meeting and he said, because he's a little bit older than me, 2 years older than me. He said, "Yo, like I really got a lot of respect for you. I like you. I want to see you win. And just know if you ever need anything, I got you." Didn't know 2 years later we'd be jumping on the phone and talking about starting a business together and still doing that business together. So yeah, Kappa brought us together. Another network.
Well, and I tell you what, entrepreneurship's all about networking. You just told a story that could make your company millions because you did what you did. You made the decision to connect, but also we just taught people education. Yeah, it's expensive. It's 200,000, and people are in debt.
Yeah.
But your network from the college sounds like could pay off all your debt in the next 3 to 5 years if you have to. I don't know if you do or anybody, because you leverage the school and the people at the school that resonated with you.
Yeah.
It gets me excited because that's why you are here today. And when I first met you last year, you were struggling a little bit, your challenges, but you pushed through. Talk about, and we're getting to a break here in about 4 or 5 minutes, decision making, because that's one thing you did that I'm so proud of you. And as 63-year-old to I don't know how you are, probably, well, you're 27, whatever you are, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That you did that, because even older people will not make decisions. Indecision is worse than making the wrong decision. Talk about your decision making when you launched Reju.
Yeah. So it's a lot of decisions that went from, the launch of Reju to maintaining it. And I would say launching the business, that was the easiest decision, getting started, putting that one foot in front of the other. The decisions get tough when, you launch the company in February 2020, COVID starts in March 2020. So now it's a matter of, okay, how do I navigate this business in a pandemic? When I have, my three co-founders, we have other team members. Okay, when we're on meetings, who's taking lead for this? If we have disagreements, how are we going to overcome that? If things get expensive, what costs are we going to cut? So when you think the approach for decision making, I always say it ties back to your why and what's the main mission. The main mission of Reju is to provide mental, physical, and emotional success for all of our users. And every action that we take has to contribute to that. And oftentimes, yes, there may be tough decisions. And when it comes to how I process tough decisions, I've recently learned the power of I'm going to sleep on it. And I say recently learned because I'd say even this year, that's probably when I really learned the power of sleeping on it. Because before, I was one of those people, and it's true to most startups, you want to move fast and break things quick. If you fail, you want to fail fast. But, in December, it makes 6 years since we've been working on Reju. And in this year, this 5th year that I'm in the process of completing, I've really learned the power of sleeping on it, not making a decision when you're angry, not making a decision when you're tired, not making a decision when you feel like you're in a place of desperation, but actually sleeping on it, meditating on it. And I would say also, and this is a really, really big lesson I had to learn, not making a decision just because you think it'll please the client in this very moment. Sometimes you have to stand true to your boundaries and what you do as a company. And if it doesn't align with what a client wants, being able to say that it doesn't and being transparent about that. And, you still want to get the sale, but you have to be true to it, because I learned the hard way that sometimes when you try to be everything for everybody, you won't please anybody, especially yourself.
And you'll never get any sleep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Talking about sleeping on it, you want to be sleeping on it because you won't be sleeping.
Yeah.
Has there been times, Dante, where you've made a decision, it was the wrong decision?
100%. I'm really just trying to think of which time I could give an example for.
There you go. That's part of it. Is
Yeah.
there's multiple wrong decisions, but you didn't do indecision. You made the decision, sleeping on it, and that's not. So, audience, when he says sleeping on it, that's not indecision. That's just taking an approach of understanding it a little bit more. Making it, I'm not saying something comes up, you got to make the decision in 30 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
But I've talked to people like, hey, I want to start my podcast, and it's been 4 months. I talked to them 4 months ago, helped them get started, and they still haven't started it. Nothing against them, and that's not my point.
Yeah.
But if they just go to me, hey, I'm not going to do it, I'm not ready, that's a decision. Not that, hey, I'm going to get to it. I hear it. I'm going to get to it. I'm going to get to it. I'm going to get to it.
Yeah.
Again, I don't, I'm mentoring, so I'm not judging at all. So on that long, stupid riff,
No.
talk about your wrong decision, if you can remember one, and how it really probably helped you down the road.
Yeah, no. You didn't go on a riff at all. I really love what you said, and especially what you said about sometimes the worst decision you can make is no decision at all. And I'd even say all the time, the worst decision you can make is no decision at all. One decision that really pops up in my mind. So we were working with a team. I'm not gonna go into too many specifics, but we were outsourcing some work to a team, and I didn't necessarily trust them. I didn't necessarily trust the work that they were doing, and I think most of all, I didn't trust that they had our best interests at heart. I knew they enjoyed us as a client because we were paying, but I didn't really think that they had. I didn't think our success was viewed as their success in their minds, and the wrong decision, I would say, is not really pushing sooner for us to end that relationship with them. I would mention it. I'd say, hey, I don't really like it, da da da. But with talking to the greater team, they're like, no, let's just stick with them. Let's let them fix any problems that they may have. Let's just wait it out. If I could go back, and hindsight is 2020, I really would have pushed harder for us to really just sever that relationship sooner. It cost us time, it cost us money, and unfortunately, it cost us. It hurt our reputation a little bit with one of our clients that we were serving. So, but that's a lesson. That's a lesson. I'm glad we learned it when we learned it. And I use this analogy. I tell my co-founders. I say, I'd rather make a mistake when I have $10,000 in the bank than a mistake when I got $10 million in the bank. So
yeah,
I could live with it. If it still frustrated me, I think I just forgave him like last week because I talked to God and God says you got to forgive. So I'm like, all right, I guess I got to forgive them too. But
yeah.
that's a easy decision that comes to my mind. How we could have done better.
And thanks for sharing that story because it's branding issue, it's a money issue, and it's a time issue.
Mm-hmm.
Is Reju app still active? Are you still in business?
100%. We're still.
Hello, audience. He made probably a bigger mistake, a bigger decision mistake, but he didn't bankrupt his company.
Yep.
And you learn so much that you're going to go to your gut a little bit more than what you did there. You kind of knew your gut was telling you that. I've done that. It happened to me 8 weeks ago, $1,500. I've made it up since, but I went my gut and I didn't do the right thing, but I'll never, ever do that again. If anything, audience, you get from this incredible show that we're on is that make the decision because you can always pivot and fix it down the road. And it could be even bankruptcy. I had to bankrupt a company. I was doing great for 5-6 years and things changed. And for me, the decision to close the business, which I didn't want to do because I had 2 employees, it actually helped them because they started their own company. When I closed, I was worried about them. And then people always find the way. So Dante, that is so powerful what you just said. Let's take a little break. I got to give Dante a little break, get some water. He's been talking, spouting out so much great information that we need to run with. Let's take about a 5-minute break and we'll be back. I want to show you a cool little clip that Dante doesn't even know about yet.
Life can really weigh you down if you let it. Everyday people encounter multiple stressors ranging from school, work, and even relationships.
Life's daily challenges could oftentimes leave us feeling overwhelmed mentally, physically, and emotionally.
Over 16 million people suffer from mental health issues. This includes anxiety, depression, and chronic stress.
Through our inspirational content consisting of daily quotes, uplifting videos, and various other interactive features, Elevate will be a platform where the user can have daily, impactful content in the palm of their hand.
Elevate has the ability to positively affect someone's life.
Our mission is to motivate the masses, starting with one person at a time.
Now join us on this journey of inspiration and elevation.
Welcome back, everybody, to Together We Serve. Dante really taught us a lot, taught me a lot. I've been an entrepreneur for 30 years. I learned some great things from Dante. But what you feel and the energy you get from him is the passion. He said it multiple times. What's your mission? What's your why? First thing you need to do if you're going to be an entrepreneur, start a business, be a business owner, founder, whatever you want to label it. That's the number one thing. And reach out to mentors. I forgot to mention that, but Dante, I have mentors. Dante has mentors. We all have mentors that are successful because guess what? Why recreate the wheel? They've already done it. They can teach us all these great things. So I'm excited. What I was showing you on the break was the Reju app. And it's cool how he does that on his website where it's moving around. You can see mental health. It's across the board. Suicide across the board is up, 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 and only going higher. He and his co-founders are found a way to help alleviate this problem and maybe get rid of it eventually here down the road. I don't know if that'll ever happen, but I know his goal is one person at a time. If their mental health is taken care of, is not so much a problem for them anymore, it's a game changer. I just talked to somebody a couple of weeks ago. I was mentoring them, and they're having an issue going back to work. It's tough out there. So there's opportunities just besides the Reju app. There's a lot of ways that we can help people. Let's bring Dante back. Absolutely. Dante, welcome back.
Absolutely. There I am. Be back. I had to turn my light on. I said, it's getting a little dark over here. I don't want to look like I'm in the bat cave.
Georgia, yeah, it's getting over there, getting dark over in Georgia. Yeah. Well, first I want to thank you for educating the audience on entrepreneurship, especially at your age. Because look at people like me, 63, we've done it for years. You don't have to. You could be an expert in 2 or 3 years in this and really share and help each other. The big thing that I wanted to talk about today is your Reju app. Mm-hmm. What was the inspiration to start between you and your two co-founders?
Yeah, so my personal inspiration. So when I graduated from college, well, first let me preface this by saying a lot of people who are in the mental health space didn't anticipate being in the mental health space. I mentioned earlier, I wanted to work in sports and fitness. I got to work for a sports team, but the journey I went on after college was one that really shifted me towards working in the mental health space and starting Reju. So to kick things off, I had 2 grandmothers that suffered from Alzheimer's. One of them, the duration of her time with Alzheimer's was when I was in high school. I got to college. She passed away my sophomore year. When I was a senior in college, I'll never forget, I was picking up my cap and gown to graduate. And my mom called me and said my grandmother, my maternal grandmother, was found driving on the wrong side of the road. So when I first heard that, I just knew she might have it too. And when I was moving home from college, I was moving in and we were moving my grandmother in because she was no longer able to take care of herself at the home. So if anybody lived with somebody who has Alzheimer's, it doesn't just affect them, it affects everybody else in the family too. Not only are they deteriorating mentally, but the anxiety, the depression, just all of those feelings that come along with it. So that's something that I was sitting in for some time. And, I just one day decided I got to find a way to make myself feel better. I got to find a way to, keep that light going inside of me. And, it really started off with a social media fast. I deleted all my social media for about 9 months. And during those 9 months, I read, I prayed, I made sure I was exercising. I was doing anything I could just to feed myself good content. And there was one book that I have to shout out, and he never met me, but I think we're going to meet one day. It's a book called The One Thing by Gary Keller. And in that book, I really learned, think about the one thing you want in this life, the one mission you have, and center everything that you do and every action you have around that mission. And, from there, I started really taking the things that I was reading and I would send it to different group chats and messages saying, hey, this is what I read. This is how I interpret it. Y'all have a good week. That turned into posting every Monday on Instagram, just messages, Monday motivation, things of that nature. And from there, I already mentioned I got a call from my co-founder after that. But what I didn't know is that he had a family member that was suffering from a chronic mental illness as well. And as we got on the phone, as we just talked it through, we say, you know what? Not only do we have to find solutions that will work for somebody that has, the everyday anxiety, we got to think through, how do we find a solution, something positive, a good platform for those that are ready to give up, those that feel like life is too much for them or is weighing them down. And it really just stemmed from wanting to be a resource and helping people. It's, unfortunately, you don't really have to look too hard to find negative content. And that's just the society we live in. We wanted to build a platform that was strictly positive, strictly light, strictly something that people could benefit from. So that's really the motivation behind it. And I know I said so much. Did I answer your question?
You did. You keep
Yeah.
you keep going. I mean, because there's a lot to it. Mental health, you just don't put an app up and go, okay, everybody come here and let's solve your mental health.
Yeah.
There's logistics and complexity to it. And you guys are dealing with, that's why you're different today than you were when I met you 6, 7, 8 months ago, whatever that time frame is.
Yeah.
But your both past experiences, you saw a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Said, I think an app is the way to go. Let's do an app.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting. I met a gentleman this week, and he was at the hospital with his brother, dealing with some major mental crisis. And he sat there and looked around and goes, there's a problem there. There's a problem there. There's a business there. There's a business there. Because that's really what a business is doing. That's what you're doing, is making it easier to handle mental health. Talk about the journey through the app and what people can do with it.
Absolutely. So, in the app's current state, and we're going through some planned maintenance right now. So if you try to download it, wait a week or two. But in the app's current state, when you log into the app, the first thing that it's going to ask you to do is just a wellness assessment. What's your stress like on a daily basis? How often are you exercising? How often do you feel like, you may have symptoms of depression, things of that nature? And from there, with those answers, we really suggest and tailor the content that would best assist with it. Now, once you complete your onboarding, the first thing that's going to pop up on your screen is actually emojis asking how you currently feel. And it's just a mood tracker. That mood tracker is going to pop up on your popular page. So you'll be able to see every time you log into the app, how was your mood this week? How was your mood last week? And it would just track that. Now, in addition to the mood tracking, we also have a page strictly dedicated to content. This content includes videos and audios from a variety of topics. These video topics can include preparing for an interview at a job and dealing with those nerves, to preparing for a first date or exercising boundaries. Then we have a big library of guided meditations. And I always like to highlight the guided meditations because this is probably my favorite feature of the app. And these are short 4 to 7 minute clips of an individual walking you through the breathing exercises and really speaking life into you for a variety of topics, including overcoming procrastination, fear of failure, fear of defeat, and just a whole host of topics. Our most exciting feature that we recently launched in V2 is the ability to connect with therapists and practitioners through the app as well. So on your middle screen, you'll be able to see yoga, nutritionists, therapists, dietitians, and a variety of other health and wellness experts to schedule one-on-one sessions with. And the last feature I want to highlight, we actually just implemented this year an AI chatbot. And that chatbot can not only navigate you to different parts of the app, but if you ask it very basic questions surrounding mental health, wellness tips, things of that nature, it can give you a response. I like to, when we do demonstrations, I like to go into the app, and when I go to the chat bot, I say, hey, I have a date tonight. I'm kind of nervous. What should I do? And it'll literally give you step by step what you could do to decrease those nerves before the date. So those are some of the features that we have, as well as we're doing workshops now for businesses surrounding, mental health in the workplace, anxiety around different times of the year. And yeah, we're working with different partners and clientele too. So if anybody's watching that's interested in, providing mental health resources for their team or business, we have a very variety of B2B offerings that we have too.
Very cool. Yeah, I've done a lot more than when last time I talked to you, which I'm not surprised, because that's how you work. Your co-founders. Never met them, but hearing from you what you're talking about, and that's the thing about technology, should be ever changing, because guess what? The world changes. It just does. Especially mental health. What it is today was quite a bit different than January 2020 before COVID. So, can you tell us a quick story? It doesn't have to be quick. Well, you got a few minutes here, of somebody that's used the app that's reached out to you guys and said, "Oh my God, this is what happened to me and help with the app.
Yeah. So it was really cool when we launched. I mentioned earlier we launched during COVID, and it was such an interesting time because nobody really knew what was going on, what was going to happen. So I could give you like 1 to 2 stories. The first story is I had multiple people reach out to me and just mention the guided meditations and how they've been listening to them every day, on the way to work, things of that nature, and just say that this has really been beneficial to me. And one story that really pops up in my head, there was an individual who downloaded the app, and she reached out to me because we went to school together too, another Lincoln connection. And she said, "Hey Dante, could you make some content on grief, dealing with the loss of a loved one, things of that nature?" And I said, "Oh, of course. I think that's an important topic." So we got the content generated, drafted up. We put it in the app around, I want to say when she asked, we put it in the app within 3 months. She reached back out to me and, she detailed that she had a loss in her family. And she had a family member that she asked to download the app as well. And they were both able to take the content in. And they both just really appreciated it and said it resonated with them and it helped them navigate that situation, which was like the highest amount of compliment for me. Because I know when it comes to grief, there's never 100% total healing when it comes to grief. You may always miss that person. It may always hurt, but anything that can help and put you in a more positive direction towards healing, man, I count that as a win. And that was such a huge compliment for me and just one of those reaffirming moments that I'm doing the right thing. I'm doing things that are going to help somebody. More people need this, so I have to keep walking.
Yeah. And it's interesting because you help them, but here's the problem with mental health that I've seen, and correct me if I'm wrong, because this is your space. It's such a private matter. People are not out saying, "Hey, I've got anxiety and stress to the world." I mean, some people do on social media. I shouldn't say that, but not everybody's going, "Hey, I've got stress because I just got bankrupt company, or I'm getting a divorce," or it's a very private, held in emotion and information. I'm seeing it, and I just realized this just now. The power of your app is I can jump in there, somewhat anonymous, and help myself. And even if you made my day better today, I go to the app, maybe I'm better tomorrow, the next day, and then maybe I have 3 good days in a row. You're right. You're not solving the problem with one meditation or one. Talk about that value add of being private and anonymous.
Yeah, it's such a big value add because as much as we're talking about mental health now, it's still a topic that a lot of people are uncomfortable to talk about. And I'm gonna talk to the guys really quickly because men aren't necessarily raised to be vulnerable. But when you look at leading suicide rates, men are beating women out. And unfortunately, the suicide rates amongst men is only increasing. So the anonymous piece of the app where you could go and digest the content, meet with a practitioner, nobody has to know. That's super important because some people just aren't ready to have the conversation yet, aren't ready to talk to their family members or their friends about what they're going through. And they shouldn't feel rushed to do so. Because if you're rushed, if you force the conversation, it may bring on more anxiety than just holding it in. So at least if they can go talk to somebody anonymous, an expert, take in some good content, build some healthy habits, that will be a major win. And I really want to highlight the building healthy habits through taking in good content through that. Because what you I'm trying to say this in a philosophical way, but I might just say it in the plainest way. What you take in is what you're going to put out. If you're always taking in, for lack of a better term, garbage content, negative content, things that are going to dampen your mood, you're going to put out negativity. You're going to put out anxiety, stress, sadness. But if you're taking in content that's positive, content that feeds you, content that's going to educate you, that's going to make you live a better life, that's only what you're going to display. It's going to come through you. And it's truly how you pay it forward. Because if one person learns how to live better, they could teach another person. That person could teach another person. And they could teach their families. And the families could teach a community. So it's a really big deal. And I know I'm on my soapbox right now. And I talk about it, see it every day. So this is what I'm passionate about. But I truly believe if we fix our mindsets, we fix our habits, and we can live better, the world will be a better place.
Yeah, no, I 100% guarantee. Again, it's our perception. I think a lot of people agree with us, but I agree. I because it's all about what we see, what we feel, what we put out there. We're coming to the end here. Regards to, I had a thought, not about suicide, but the passion of going to the app and feeling guilty. There's no guilt involved with this app at all, right?
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, we have bright colors in the app, and the
Yeah.
content isn't, to say you need to do a better job. You're not. It's not like, sometimes you follow certain people on Instagram and it's like they're motivational / accusatory. It's like, dang, you motivated me, but you also make me feel like I just wasted like the first 27 years of my life. It's not like that at all. It's more educational in nature, telling you the habits that are necessary to build upon. So there's no guilt involved because I'm a firm believer that shame is one of the lowest levels of emotion that a person can feel. And when you shame somebody, they're not going to want to come back to experience that emotion again. So that's the thing through the app. It's not shame. It's not shame. It's informing you of better ways to do things, informing you of healthier ways to live, and really just helping you think better and helping you live better. But
Yeah.
no shame involved. None at all.
Yeah. I love what you're saying about the in and out, what you put in content, anything. That's a stoic. Marcus Aurelius Seneca talk about. I read a book and shout out audience, The Daily Stoic. If you want to learn more about what Dante's saying, he doesn't realize, but he's a stoic. That's what they do is what you bring in, what you put out. You're eventually going to, all these things are going to happen in life. It's how you respond to them and how you portray yourself. So we got 1 minute or so left. I've got a real fun question. I asked you a different one before. Maybe I even asked. So I've reserved a Learjet. It's got 4 seats on it.
Okay.
First, you're going to be in one of the seats. Who are the other 3 people you're going to invite, dead or alive, in those 3 seats? And where are we traveling?
Dead or alive, and where we travel? I say I got 3 people.
3 people.
Wow, that's such a good question. I'm gonna throw my wife in there first because that, like, as funny as it may sound, that's really my dog. Like, I'll take her everywhere. So I throw my wife in there. People are gonna laugh because this isn't necessarily a religious reason, but I'm throwing Jesus in there too because I got a lot of questions I'm gonna ask him.
Yes.
So I got my wife, I got Jesus, I got one more person that I'm gonna throw in there. Ooh. You know what? The last person I'm gonna throw in LeBron James. And the reason, I'm gonna tell you why I'm gonna throw in LeBron James. I'd be very interested to know what it's like to be the quote unquote chosen one next up and be told that from the time you're a teenager, then pretty much check off all the boxes and still be under 40 years old navigating life. I'd be very interested to see what that perspective is outside of like cameras and everything. And in regards to where we're going, it's places I've been I'd love to go back to. But I would love to go to I'd love to go to Ghana with these individuals. Ghana and Africa. That's why I take these individuals.
I go with you because there's so much we could do. Water and there again. That's a group of people that just love what they have.
Yep.
They get food. They're just happy they have food. And like we're talking about what we have and just being happy with it. Well, we've come to the end here. You're an absolute blessing. God bless you, what you're doing. I support you 100%. Hey, audience, reach out, the rejuapp.com. He's also got the phone apps there so you can grab on it, jump on it. If you have any questions, I'll have his contact info as well, or reach out to me and I'll connect you with him. And I'll see all of you next week, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. Together we serve. We're going to have Todd Lingle talk about his foundation for kids and how to help support them and give them a better life. See you all guys later.
Thank you. Thank you, Steve.